What's going on about this Afro think tank? White man says that they are the problem. And he's pretty pissed off about it. And I can understand why he's pissed off about it. Because it's true. And hey, let me have a heart-to-heart with you white folks, especially the ones watching me, all right? To watch me to get pissed off. Have you ever taken in consideration for just one moment that the common denominator in all your problems is your one particular inclination to be racist? Have you ever thought about that? Like, think about it. Your racism, right? That's layered with all kinds of denial, all kinds of lies, all kinds of fantasies, all kinds of insecurities, all kinds of guilt. I mean, you have layers upon layers upon layers of this. It's thick ass hide of mental illness wrapped around your European brains, right? That culminates you to try to protect yourself, to justify your position on this planet by being a racist. Because most of you guys never even met a black person. You're afraid of people you've never met. Most of the violence that occurs around you are about people who look like you. Think about it. Think about it. Most of the violence you see is white. You don't see black violence. You see black violence on TV. The same way we see it on TV. It's for fake. And while you're hiding and pretending like you don't have rampant crime, drug infested violence in your communities, instead of addressing those things, instead of addressing the issues you have as a group of people, you just play whataboutism, a big racial, ethno-national group game of whataboutism, where you look at the one or two black people that are obviously being highlighted for you to pay attention to say, that's your problem. Have you ever taken in consideration that if you all collectively, just one time, stop being fucking racist, that all of us can get what we want? Because what you want, we want. Everything we ever ask for, if we get it, you get it. So when you go on TV and say, oh, they're getting health care and they're getting free school lunch and I just want you to know, when you complain, when those rich white people convince you to be racist, that what they're really doing is convincing you to hate yourself. You took universal health care away from yourself. You took Social Security away from yourself. You took health care away from yourself. You took all the benefits that your grandparents had away from you. When y'all thought America was great is when the middle class was stable, when factories was pumping and everybody could afford a house and buy a car, work 40 hours a week and have vacations and live a copacetic life. All that shit went to hell in a handbag. You know why? Because you baby boomers who watched the 3 channels that was provided to you for your entire life believe everything on those channels. You was watching the same movies we was watching. The same movies the Africans were watching to think about how terrible African Americans were are the same movies you were watching to see how terrible African Americans are the same movies we were watching to reinforce to us how terrible we must be. When in fact, the truth is everybody's fucking terrible at a certain level, especially when they're so weak they decide to prey on others because they can't do for themselves, right? But on a grand scheme of things, more white people commit most of these crimes. More white people are on welfare. It's not even close. More white folks benefit from DEI. You literally took things away from you. You disenfranchise your women. Now they can't be nurses. They're not professionals. They can't get certain loans. Look what you white people have done to yourself because you just can't help but not to be racist. That is your only, well, okay, I'm not going to say it's your only problem. Yeah, more problems. But that's your main one. If you just, all you white folks collectively, just hear me out. Now keep in mind, I'm a Pan-African, I'm pro-black. But I don't hate white people. But let me tell you something. You're either my enemy or you're my ally. I can talk to you either way. You're either going to chill the fuck out, okay? Realize that black people don't want to genocide you. We just want to live. Spanish people don't want to genocide you. They just want to live. Asian people don't want to genocide you. They just want to live. And guess what? America's a very big country and we're underpopulated. Did you know that? That's why your rich white men in suits keep bringing people over here. But there's not enough white people. You gotta understand that. Whose fault is that? Rich white people in suits who make you work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, don't give you no health care, don't give you affordable housing, don't give you affordable daycare, don't provide anything as far as benefits for your family. They don't give you anything. They make you work like a slave and you're supposed to be white and superior. But you've always been a slave. You white Europeans have always been slaves. You just been slave premium. You see, everybody else got the regular package, regular slaves. You got the premium package. That means you the slave that got to watch the other slaves. You the slave that got to fight the other slaves. You the slave that got to subjugate the other slaves. You the slave that got to take all the blame for what massa does. As soon as you white people realize that and say, you know what? I'm fucking sick and tired of being fucking sick and tired of being lied to by the media, being lied to by my politicians, being lied to by these white men in suits who come around every 2 to 4 to 6 years to lie in your face and then spit in your face and then give everybody else who's not you all the things that you asked for. That's your enemy. That's my enemy. If you eliminate one enemy, which can be all other people that are not rich, you have a much better time getting what you want. You see, when black people get what we want, you get it too. Because remember, you're slave premium, all right? They paid $19.95 subscription for us. They paid $15.95 subscription for you, all right? That's the only difference. So all I'm saying is, white folks, especially the racist ones, if you try that one time and just see what's going to happen. Matter of fact, you know what you white people should do? Go and find a black person and talk to them and see that, guess what? Just because they're brown doesn't mean that they're going to harm you. Just because they're different doesn't mean they're going to harm you. You're different. And if anybody deserves to get harmed, it is you. You got to admit that. Look, all the things you've done. 500 years of unhuman activity by you group of people, right? So right now, you're being held accountable because people are talking about it. They're not tolerating it. They're not killing you in mass. You're gonna have to be able to take some of this shit. We African Americans has taken your shit for 400, 500, 600 years. We're still taking your shit right now. And still willing to talk to you and not eliminate you from this planet. Because keep in mind, we are, and there's nothing you can do about it. We're taking over the planet. We're taking it back. We let you have it. You fucked it up. We got to take it back and fix it. That's what's going on. You are in a minority. But here's the thing. You've always been a minority. They've been lying to you. You've never been a major population on the planet ever. You've never been 30%. You've never been 30% of the global population. You never will be. You guys are going back to black at some point. May take 500 years, may take 1,000 years, but you're going back to black. So you're going to get to deal with some of your insecurities anyway, because that's what you want. I know. All the way deep down inside. And you're going to get it. Because that's what you, somewhere inside of your white lily ass is a black woman's DNA screaming to come out and flavor all of your food. I promise you. But anyway, without further ado, listen to this white man, because he's had enough. And he's sick and tired of being sick and tired. And as a white man, the first stage is to admit, sir, your fucking problem. You gotta fix it. Only you can do it, because here's the thing. And this is God honest truth. If you don't fix it, everybody else will. That's guaranteed. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Afro Finte, learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Middle Passage, white people. Slavery, white people. Jim Crow, white people. Lynchings, white people. Trail of Tears, white people. Wounded Knee, white people. Asian internment camps, white people. The vast majority of gun violence, white people. You see a trend? January 6th, white people. Ahmaud Arbery, 3 white guys. George Floyd, white guys. The felon in the White House, a white man. You see a trend? But somehow, the white man has convinced stupid, uneducated, trailer park trash, 3-teeth inbreds, white supremacists, Triple K members, that the brown people picking your almonds and your walnuts and your lettuce and your avocados, somehow they're the fucking problem. They're not. We are. And until we grasp that, we can blame and sit here with all of these left bro podcasters and the Pod Save America and the Midas Touches and talk about, oh, it's the cost of eggs. It's the cost of gas. Fuck it is. No, it's not. Why haven't we had a woman president? Why did we go from a black president to the most corrupt white man in the history of our country? Why did the majority of white people, the only demographic that didn't vote for Harris, and that same demographic didn't vote for Zohran Mamdani? Because we're the problem. Because there is a chunk of this country that is afraid that the white majority is going away. And they're going to kick and scream like little children, like Santa Claus taking away your present, because they think that their traditional family values is going away. And this country and the Republican Party has done a good job of indoctrinating a bunch of white men. And just me saying this, leave this country, lib, that's indoctrination. It's a fact. Every sentence, this is how it goes. Once upon a time, freedom, God, Jesus, freedom, freedom, Second Amendment. I went on vacation to Hawaii, freedom, Second Amendment, freedom, freedom, bed bald eagles, freedom, the greatest in the world. This is how their brains are working because they don't have critical thinking. They've been indoctrinated. And for them to be woke, which means actually seeing this country for what it is, it's breaking their brains because they've been lied to their entire life, and their version of American exceptionalism is bullshit. And they know it is, and they don't want it to be because they want their whiteness to keep them at the top of the food chain. Have yourself a white day.
These silent generation people raised the boomers on a TV.
This is something that's very important to understanding why boomers are the way that they are. Because yes, they were raised on TV, but it was worse for them. I was raised on TV too, but I also had the internet, once I got into my teens. But boomers, not only were they raised by TV and radio, they didn't nearly have as many options as we did. So they were very easily programmed. TV is programming. They put certain things on the TV to condition them to act in ways that would benefit, the ruling class. And over time, they were manipulated and coerced into dismantling everything that their parents had built. The social safety net being the most important. Boomers' first president they voted for was Ronald fucking Reagan. And they grew up watching him on TV. which is why he's like the most favorite person in the world. They indoctrinated them and made them massive fans of Ronald Reagan, and so they followed him off of a cliff and dismantled so much of the safety net, believed so much of his racist rhetoric, his sexist rhetoric, his ableist rhetoric, that dismantled the social safety net for the disabled, for black and brown people, you know, for so mentally ill people, so many people. And, you know, and workers too, taking away like unions and, you know, education, you know, making like college was so much cheaper. They literally had to, like, they could take a penny out of a wishing well and go to college for like 4 years. But Reagan and the programming convinced them that all that shit was evil, and that, you know, black people were parasites and mentally ill people were just terrible. You know, their parents went to therapy, right? Like, they had therapy and shit. They had mental institutions, and they were working. Like, it wasn't as taboo to go to therapy. But Reagan convinced them that therapy was evil. Like, they were literally programmed, guys. Like, that's why most of them are addicted to TV today and don't question the news, because they grew up with 3 fucking channels that told them everything that they know, and they still believe those things. They haven't changed. You know, we have to reckon with the fact that they are not, a lot of them, not all, but many of them aren't competent, and they're at ages where the neurodegeneration is making them even less competent. And it's not, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, we can't really treat them as if they are still young and have their full facility. They're, you know, they're aging and are making big decisions that many of them are not capable of making. And the ruling class and the corporate class are using that to their advantage so they can consolidate their power and take even more control and finish what they started, taking over the entire country and, you know, continuing to dismantle as much of the social safety net as they possibly can. This has been a long con, a very long con, that they've been using the boomers to, you know, solidify. But it's taking a long time because, you know, the people that they've been trying to eradicate, the disabled people, the black and brown people, the women, you know, these are people who, if they were stable, if they had the resources that they need, the education they need, these people would resist the ruling class. That's why they want to keep them down, because they want to maintain white supremacy, white economic control over all of the resources and land. White people have almost 90% of the wealth in the U.S. The white ruling class owns all of that wealth, and we all have to, like, you know, the little wealth that we do have, we have to give back to them anyway, because they control all the land and resources, including our basic needs that they use to force us into servitude and slavery. So, yeah, you know, might be the right time to get your boomer parents off that TV. You know, they like to argue and fight and think that they know everything, but their brains are literally deteriorating. And I'm not being ageist, but the cognitive dissonance makes them rationalize their competency. So they think they're more competent than they actually are. A lot of them are still spicy, though. A lot of them are. I'm not saying all of them. But if they are, you know, that closed-minded and, you know, rigid and, you know, don't question anything, it's like cognitive dissonance that's going to get stronger, you know, as they age. They're incapable of seeing beyond that. And that's going to be tough. Neurodegeneration is a very tough thing to deal with. I've dealt with it. I had early onset dementia. Have it. I've increased my cognitive reserve, which helps me reroute my brain and compensate for it. But I still got it. Feels good. I get my memories back, and things like that. But there was a lot of many years of damage I was dealing with. I couldn't even function at a certain point. COVID blew my brain up. So I know how neurodegeneration is. I know what dementia does to the brain, and your brain rationalizes it due to cognitive dissonance, while your cognitive reserve tries to rewire and compensate for it. But as you get older, your cognitive reserve runs out. And if you have dementia already, the cognitive reserve masks the dementia. And so you wouldn't even know that you have dementia until your cognitive reserve runs out. And then you're hit with a sudden, cognitive decline that is very steep. And then you start getting the major symptoms, the sundowning and, forgetting and, repeating the same stories over and over again. There's so many different things, losing where you are, talking to yourself, and the cognitive reserve is kind of, cognitive reserve and cognitive dissonance together kind of hide it for a bit, so you gotta see the early warning signs, learn about it, so you can catch those early warning signs and, prepare. That way it doesn't just hit you suddenly.
Ain't nobody trying to argue with you all damn day, bro. Shut the fuck up. Damn.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.